talks on the lease will only resume once the council commits to treating the negotiating team with civility and respect. The sound of houses being demolished in Cades Cove in Florissant. KMOX was there this month, but only 6 destroyed because of nuclear contamination.
Those homes have had multiple homeowners, and people in that subdivision are really, really sick.
That's Dawn Chapman, co-founder of Just Moms STL. She tells KMOX there's a lot of doubt among residents still living in Cades Cove that nuclear waste only contaminated 6 properties.
When that home came down, looking at the core, I feel like this is just out of control. I don't get this. I know they want to control it, but I think all bets are off for where this radioactive waste could be, and they're not even done testing for it.
Chapman says this is not a good feeling for North County residents living on nuclear contaminated grounds, waiting for their areas to be cleaned up. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
This Thursday from 5 till 8, there's a free RECA claims support group meeting at the Thornhill Library brand. For tonight, we've got cloudy, low 22. For tomorrow, sunshine and a high of 55. Right now, downtown at the Arch, it's 29. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Man, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Here we go from Jupiter, Florida. It is time for a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley, back with you. Took a little 1 hour respite, I guess you could say, during the SLU Coaches Show after we did Redbird Rush Hour during the 5 o'clock hour. We're back with you for this 7 o'clock hour, and we've got a few things to get to before we do indeed call it a night. As we normally do on the show, we try to bring you the daily Oliver Marmol audio. We are now into the point where we talk to him most days before games and after games. So we've got a little bit to listen into from Ollie, a few things that he got into. By the way, if you've got any questions, probably today, best thing to do is to text in to the program. If you've got any questions about anything that's going on, feel free to drop us a text at 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. That's how you call or text. I would certainly recommend texting on the show tonight. You can also tweet at me if you'd like, at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. Again, we are taking you just for the 1 hour. So if you've got any thoughts on what's going on with the Cardinals, we certainly do welcome those thoughts as we go along through the course of the program, throughout the evening. Cardinals do win today. It was a weird game. It was a really weird game, and you get weird games in spring training. I don't want to spend too much time on the game because it is simply a spring training game, and bluntly, it was a very non-compelling spring training game. Not a lot happened in this game that was overly interesting. Michael McGreevy started, so that's a little bit interesting. His first spring training start, gives up a run on 2 hits. He gave up a home run on the first batter he faced. Turns out he wasn't even throwing game baseballs at that point. For somehow, some way, the game started with BP baseballs, and the umpire took note of it, and they would trade him out. But there was the first few baseballs that were thrown were not able to do what normally baseballs would do, and so how much of that has to do with the home run, I don't know. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to make excuses for the guy, but it was just stuff like that happens in spring training. Jojo Romero got an inning in. He gave up a run. The thing that I most took out of this game is probably what we saw from Bryson Motts, the reigning Cardinals minor league pitcher of the year. He went 2 innings, giving up just 1 hit, 1 strikeout, did walk 2. I am more interested, especially when it comes to pitchers. I am more interested in some of the situational type things that they get into. And even though he pitched himself into it, there was a point for Motts when he was facing a lefty and there were 2 runners on. And if Motts gets to the big leagues this year, and we're actually going to talk about this a little bit more when we listen to the Ali audio, because there's the whole idea of somebody like Motts who can maybe help you sooner than later out of the bullpen versus keeping him at AAA and allowing him to develop more as a starter? Like, how do you rationalize those two things? But anyways, watching if Motts gets to the big leagues at some point this year, I think it's likely to be in a relief role. Maybe not. Maybe there's injuries and other things that happen that result in the opposite of that happening. But I enjoyed watching Motts today go through a scenario where he was facing a lefty and there were a couple runners on, because that seems like the thing that you want to see him be able to have success with for sure. And it was good. So that's the thing I take away more than anything else, that Motts was pretty good. You don't like the 2 walks. You don't like that he did pitch himself into a little bit of trouble, but he pitched himself out of the trouble, and that was good. We'll talk about it a lot. Our final segment today is actually going to be focused on it. J.J. Weatherholt had a couple walks today. He also commits an error. He's committed 2 errors here in the early going. Got eliminated on the bases on a base running decision. Any reason to be like worried about any of that stuff? We'll touch on that coming up in our on our final segment. So I don't want to get into that too terribly much. From an offensive standpoint, man, there's just not a whole lot to say. Cardinals had 5 hits, and the only guy who had more than 1 hit was Jeremy Rivas, a guy who's not going to be on the big league roster. Now, I say that, and I know the general reaction is going to be, oh, they're not going to be a very good offensive club. You're already seeing that. Well, it's just early on in spring training. This is where I struggle in a few areas, and you're going to hear me say this at the beginning of the season. I always struggle right in for the entire first month of the season, because we want to apply so much definition to what is going on, where bluntly there's no definition there. It doesn't matter yet. It might retroactively matter after we get 2 months into the season and the same issues exist. We can then say, okay, now we see that this thing that was happening in the first 2 weeks of the season actually was a thing. But there's just as much of a chance of that thing that was a thing in the first 2 weeks of the season not being a thing anymore, because baseball is 162 games. We can exponentially say that when it comes to the first few days of spring training. And, pitchers are trying to get their work in. Hitters don't have their timing yet. Hitters have had a few days of some live BP sessions. They are not out there, in every single game yet. So the fact that the Cardinals have been offensively challenged in 2 of their first 3 Grapefruit League games, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It means nothing. Now, does that mean I'm telling you that they're going to be a really good offensive club this year? No, I'm not saying that. That's the biggest question. That is the single biggest question about this team, is how good can they be offensively? Can they find a way to take a step forward from last year, despite the fact that they lost one of their best bats in Wilson Contreras? And I don't have an answer to that. Nobody has an answer to that. I know what the path is to get there. Everybody knows what the path is to get there. I'm not saying anything new here. If J.J. Weatherholt comes on the scene and is a really good hitter from the moment he walks into a major league clubhouse during the regular season, if Jordan Walker takes a step forward, if Nolan Gorman takes a step forward, if Lars Nootbaar is healthy and this heel surgery that in the offseason helps him get back to where he has been previously, if all these things happen, then the club can be better offensively than they were last year. Ivan Herrera for close to 162 games. That's going to be something that can help this club offensively. But there's also no guarantee that Herrera is going to be healthy. We can't just assume health at the beginning of the season. And whether or not Herrera catches much could impact health, because tiny sample size. But so far, Herrera has not shown the ability to both catch and stay healthy. Now, I think there's a difference. He began the season last year essentially as a frontline catcher, not catching every day, but catching a lot. And then he got banged up. And finally, when they brought him back, they said that he was going to be done catching for the year. I don't think they are looking at him in that same way. You almost can't. His bat is so important to this team that he can't be the frontline catcher, because if you're the frontline catcher, you are going to get banged up. You are going to need days. But if you catch 1 day a week, if you catch 2 days a week at the most, maybe that is something that can be good for this team and can allow for some other flexibility, and that's fine. But I think you just need to be careful that you don't do anything to take his bat out of the lineup, because his bat, to me, right now, is the most important bat. Alec Burleson's bat is probably the second most important bat at this point in time. The other thing that's happened since we last spoke on last week was the Ramon Urias signing. And a few things on this really quickly. First off, Chaim Bloom said that he wanted to bring in a major league right-handed bat. He brought in a major league right-handed bat. There's a lot of people out there that did not think he was going to do that. And so far, basically everything that Chaim has said that he wants to do, he has been able to do. It is a different regime. It feels very, very different. And there's a lot of things going on behind closed doors that make it different as well. This feels like a very different St. Louis Cardinals with the culture and everything starting at the top and just dispersing throughout. So that's the move. Now, to be fair, we thought it was going to be an outfielder, right? That's what he had said, that he wanted to bring in a right-handed hitter that can play in the outfield. He did not do that. He brought in a right-handed hitter that can play in the infield. But what has happened since then, and I don't think this is him being disingenuous. I don't think this is him making a U-turn on something that he said. I think the circumstances changed. When he has talked so openly about wanting a right-handed bat that could go play in the outfield, I don't think there was much of a thought at that point that you were going to get legitimate playing time out of both Jose Fermin and Thomas Saggese in the outfield. And we've seen Fermin start in left field, I believe 2 of the 3 games. I think the first game and then today he was out there in left field as well. I think there's actually a possibility that he's your opening day left fielder, assuming that Lars Nootbaar doesn't start the season on the active roster, which seems to be the likely scenario right now. Assuming it plays out that way, I would guess the starting left fielder that day is going to come down to either Jose Fermin or Nathan Church. And it might just be Fermin. And there's a chance that Church is going to be out in center field. Something I need to ask Ali about is how they view the center field position right now, because it feels like they're alternating games, and they've only played 3, so it's been 1-2-1 at this point. But we've seen Nathan Church out there twice, and we've seen Victor Scott II out there once, and I know they're high on both those players. Thomas Saggese, we have yet to see him in the outfield. We're going to see him at some point. Yesterday, by the way, if you didn't see it, Saggese made an incredible play at shortstop. I would argue that it was the best defensive play that he has made at the major league level for the St. Louis Cardinals. So he is somebody who's putting in a ton of work just to get on the field. And he wants to get some game action in the outfield sooner than later. Seems like center field is the spot that, if he can be a right-handed option for center field, that can create some flexibility for this roster, because right now your 2 center field options in Scott and Church are both left-handers. So it feels like to me, Fermin is more of a guy that they want to put in the corners, and then Saggese is somebody that they'd like to play out in center field. But because you've got 2 guys who have been infielders, who now are going to add outfield to their repertoire, and who I think the club is pretty confident that they can go out and do a nice job out there, because that is happening, well, then the position in which you bring in that right-handed bat doesn't matter as much anymore. It just doesn't. If Fermin and Saggese are never going to play in the outfield, then the right-handed bat that you bring in has to be an outfielder. That's not the case. You've got enough outfielders now because of Fermin and Saggese, and you're able to move them around. What's really the difference between Saggese getting a day at second base, at third base, at shortstop compared to going out to center field? Same thing with Fermin going out to left field or going out to right field. So you're able to bring in that right-handed bat that you want in Ramon Urias. Nice bat, nice player, really good defensive player. The Cardinals are very adamant in saying that his addition is not going to come at the expense of playing time for Nolan Gorman. That was the first thing I think a lot of people thought of when the signing occurred, when you first heard the reporting that this is going to impact Nolan Gorman. I would push back on what the Cardinals said a little bit. It has to impact Gorman's playing time. You're going hit third base is his natural position. You are going to see him play third base. So there is certainly going to be times where if he wasn't on the roster, that he's going to be playing in games that Gorman would have been playing in otherwise. But even that being said, they don't think it's something that's going to dramatically impact the playing time for Gorman. And I would remind you that Chaim Bloom has been very clear in saying when they are making decisions, and it's a decision based off the good of the future or the good of the present, they are going to be making decisions based off the future. And for the future of this club, this is the end of the leash for Nolan Gorman. This is the moment. This is the season. This is where you have to figure out whether or not he's somebody that's going to be able to take that step forward and really find what we thought he was going to become when he was coming up as a prospect. And if it doesn't happen for him this year, it doesn't happen for him this year, and you probably move on from him. And you've got other options moving forward, but you can't handcuff yourself in finding out about Gorman and giving him that, kind of last and final opportunity this year. You can't handcuff yourself by bringing in a Ramon Arias and allowing him to play a ton of third base. And I don't think that's what they're going to be doing with him. We are going to take a break, and when we return, we are going to hear from Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol. A lot to get to with him, a lot on Michael McGreevy, a lot on just kind of general pitching for the team, and a few other things as well. That's all going to be coming up in just a moment. This is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
If you owe back taxes, listen carefully to rule number 1. Never go up against the IRS alone. They're cracking down, freezing bank accounts, garnishing paychecks, canceling passports. Even your home or business could be at risk. But here's what they don't tell you. The IRS has powerful tax relief programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. That's why smart people call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. Nobody knows these programs like the experts at Optima. Their team of tax attorneys and licensed professionals have resolved over $2 billion in tax debt for people just like you. The IRS is not stopping, so don't wait and don't take them on alone. For tax help you need, for tax help you can trust, call Optima today for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Febreze. New Febreze Air Mist has 50% more odor fighters and up to 30% more fragrance than the old formula. So now you can take on 100% more stinky odors, like sweaty gym bags, greasy cooking smells, and the after effects of the dog rolling around in something. Just spray, and new Febreze Air instantly restores just clean freshness. Smell you later, odor. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Start your summer early at the St. Charles Boat Show, March 5th through 8th at the St. Charles Convention Center. The top marine dealers from the Lake of the Ozarks will be on site with the newest boats, personal watercraft, docks, and accessories. Step aboard, compare models, and find the perfect ride for your family. Special show pricing and experts ready to help make your boating dreams a reality. Visit lakeoftheozarksboatdealers.com for more information.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times. We haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Join Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Lose the weight or stop smoking. Guaranteed only $59.99. Saturday, March 7th at the Residence Inn by Marriott, St. Louis Westport in St. Louis. Weight loss hypnosis starts at 11 a.m. Registration at 10:30 a.m. Stop smoking starts at 2 p.m. Registration 1:30 p.m.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fira Capital Management for Your Retirement Highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
Unlock a brighter outdoor space in 2026 with Chesterfield Valley Nursery. Let us be your trusted partner for all your landscaping, lawn, and gardening needs, empowering you to create a haven that brings joy and serenity to your life. From landscape design to property maintenance to our garden center. We're here for you. Houseplants, tree shrubs, organic soil mixes, gardening and plant classes, and more. Chesterfield Valley Nursery's Garden Center has what you need no matter what the season. Visit us weekdays from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Saturday hours start in March. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram for all class and sale updates.
An important message from S&L Coins. S&L Coins pays top dollar for your gold and silver coins, old currency, gold-filled jewelry, scrap gold and silver, silver plating, gold and silver bullion. Get a quote with a call to S&L at 544-3600. S&L Coins, 544-3600. Or visit S&L Coins at 9300 Gravois, just east of McKenzie. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday. Before you sell, call S&L 544-3600.
Neovitin began with one doctor's mission to help others feel their best. After years of caring for patients, Dr. Ken Ribicki, a St. Louis physician, created Neovitin, a line of multivitamins designed with quality, safety, and everyday wellness in mind. Each formula is made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients to support real people living real lives. Discover the difference today with Neovitin, available at Schnucks, Deerbergs, and neovitin.com. Neovitin, trusted nutrition from St. Louis for St. Louis.
Tuesday night, it's men's Pelicans basketball action as they take to the court against Dayton. Pre-game 5:45, tip at 6 on your home for Pelicans basketball. KMOX.
You are locked into a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley, continuing to take you through this Monday evening. Tomorrow night, we're not going to have Sports Open Line as we're going to have Billikens basketball and Cardinals baseball both going on at the same time. Tomorrow's going to be one of those nights where we end up splitting the signals, 104.1 FM and 11:20 AM. So you get to choose between SLU basketball or Cardinals baseball coming up tomorrow. This is the part of the program where we have a little bit of fun with audio, going back through some of the things that Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol had to say today. We spoke with him both before the game and after the game. I'm going to go through some kind of big picture type stuff with him today. Let's start, though, with Michael McGreevy. We're going to spend a lot of time on McGreevy because really he's such an interesting case. He started today for the Cardinals in what turned into a 5-4 win, walk-off win against Miami, 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning. McGreevy's coming off a year where he made 17 appearances, 16 starts in the big leagues, going 8-4 with a 4.42 ERA, but also a year where he was up and down from Memphis much of the year. At Memphis, he was 8-3 with a 3.72 ERA, and he kept going up and down, not because of his performance, but because he was the 6th starter, and he had options, and they were going to utilize him last year until he finally had a full-time job. He's got that full-time job going into the season. So let's start by talking about what he did. He gave up a home run, actually gave up a home run with a batting practice ball. They started the game accidentally with BP balls, and then they realized that there was an issue. All that being said, he gave up a home run on the first at bat of the game before they realized the issue, and then he was able to lock in after that. The overall numbers for McGreevy: 2 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, and no walks. And after the game, Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol felt like that was a good starting spot here in spring for McGreevy.
I thought he did a nice job. He mixed well. And I know he's been working a little bit more on the depthiness of the slider. So overall, he felt good and something we can build off of.
Mentioned that home run, and something that we've seen from McGreevy is he's really able to adjust on the fly and move on from things. And Ollie said that was just another case of him really moving on from a bad moment very quickly.
Where it's not feeling sorry for yourself for just staying present is something I really do feel like he's done well or has shown it in the past. So that's a good example of it, because you can easily start to speed up and try to do more on the next pitch rather than just do what you need to do.
Even before the game got started, we spent a fair amount of time talking about McGreevy, and kind of on that same topic of conversation, Ollie really appreciates the fact that McGreevy really does handle adversity well.
He doesn't seem bothered by a whole lot, and that's really cool to see out of a young guy. It's not that things don't bother him, but he stays locked in. Like, everyone's going to experience something throughout the course of a game that throws you off. Like, the skill is to refocus, and he does that really quickly. Young guys tend to miss, like they have a gap between when something throws them off and their ability to like refocus. So he doesn't take himself too serious, where things just kind of like, he just keeps going to the next thing, next moment, stay present. And he does that really well, which is not normal for his age. So that part of it was impressive. Areas of improvement, how he attacks lefties and being able to kind of not be predictable in certain counts and situations. But all things he's aware of.
Mentioned just the way things went down last year, going up, going down, going up, going down, and it almost did not matter how he pitched. That would not always be easy. At times, some guys would just kind of take that into probably their AAA starts as well, and he continued to pitch at a pretty high level at AAA. And Ollie really raves about how McGreevy handled the constant ups and downs to and from Memphis last year.
I mean, that was tough. You'd come in, throw a game, do really well, have to go back down. But I feel like we communicated it very clearly as to what was needed and why, and what we were trying to do from a health standpoint and setting up guys for six-man and everything that went into that. So he knew the situation going in. He handled it really well. But it was great the last time he came up and he was able to stay with us and us get a longer look at him.
McGreevy is somebody with a great personality. He is somebody who very much could turn into one of the faces of the organization. And when Ollie talked about the personality, he said that really from the moment McGreevy walked into a major league clubhouse, he has been very comfortable in his own skin.
I think he did a really nice job of being himself last year and coming in, understanding the situation. He spot start, head out, spot start, head, like, and then finished with us. But I don't think he's one where he wasn't himself or needed to relax more or needed to kind of, he knew the situation he was going in. He handled it extremely well. But he's been himself right out the gate.
And taking that one step further, McGreevy has always fit in well.
Just awareness. There's certain players that can walk into a room and be observant of what to do, what not to do, the rhythm of things, and he's one of them. It just has feel. Some people don't have feel. He actually has some.
All right, let's jump to some other folks. Bryson Motts got into the game. He went 2 innings, giving up just 1 hit, 1 strikeout. He did walk 2. There was a moment where he ran into a 2 runners on facing a lefty with 2-out situation. I just thought that was great because he's going to get to the big leagues at some point in time, and that's probably going to be the type of role that you do want to see him in. Just overall, Ollie was happy to be able to see Motts in game action.
I actually thought he did a nice job. It's good to be able to kind of see him in a variety of different situations. No different than if we want to get to the weather. Like, it's just, I want to see how they respond to when things aren't perfect. But no, I thought he did a really nice job.
Before the game even started, we went down a line of conversation with Ollie that kind of applies to, it doesn't kind of apply, it completely applies to Motts. But if he has a really good spring and you look at him as somebody who's going to give the team a great opportunity as a left-handed option out of the bullpen, But then you compare that to the value of sending him back to the minors where he can continue to be a starter. Where do you put him? If you're a team that's really competing at a high level, you probably put him on the big league team and you go from there. Where the Cardinals are at right now, maybe it's a little bit different. So Ollie talked about it. I think this applies to Motts, but it applies to others as well. Just really the idea of choosing between adding a player that can help you at the major league level versus sending that player back down, because there's still so much more development that can happen that's likely to happen in a better way at the minor league level.
Like when Heim says not choosing the short term over the long term, that's a really good example of it. You're asking about Mouse. Like he fits into
not
that.
Just him, but he does definitely.
Like that's a real one, right?
That's right, yeah.
And you have to consider the upside of where we're heading and the value in that over just a short-term fix that may stunt the growth of a player.
And taking that one step forward, it seems likely that there's going to be some sort of hybrid role to start the season with kind of a sixth starter, the Steven Matz role, you could call it, where you're in the bullpen a little bit, you're starting a little bit. That's how the season began last year for Matz. So could that be one of these young pitchers like a Bryson Motts or somebody else who is who has been a starter and profiles out as a starter long term? So Ollie was asked about if that kind of Steven Matz role for a young pitcher is going to help or hurt their overall development.
Yeah, that's the decision you're trying to make, whether there's room for that or not. And then is it going to present itself enough for that development to truly take place or not? So Steven, it worked out really well, and a lot of opportunities presented themselves because he's not overly splitty. Like as a starter, he had enough pitches to attack righties, lefties, and he was comfortable with that. So you can go multiples and you can bridge to the back end guys. I'm not sure that's the case with the bucket of players that we're currently talking about.
One of the amazing things about last year was just the lack of injuries when it came to pitching and specifically starting pitching. And if you watch what the Cardinals are doing, it looks like they are slow playing some of the ramp ups. And it's going to continue into the regular season. Guys are not going to be fully stretched out when the regular season gets started. That's why you might start with some type of six-man rotation to begin the year. And Ollie did admit that they've slowed down pitcher ramp-up with some individuals as a way to protect 162-game health.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, whether that's the throwing programs and build-up leading into arriving at camp, some guys – we're comfortable with that build-up being a little bit more aggressive and being able to throw lives and throw multiples sooner, maybe. And then there's some where we've slow-played it because we understand they know their bodies really well and don't need the full spring training to ramp up as a reliever, like a Stanek. JoJo plays into that as well, where he'll use spring training to ramp up. Some guys don't have that luxury and need to arrive ready. So individualizing that is important. But yeah, we've messed around a decent amount with that. Even the beginning of the season last year, we allowed for a couple of weeks of taking guys out after 80 pitches in order to protect September at the expense of you guys yelling at me. But yeah.
Another thing when it comes to pitching, I thought this was an interesting conversation to have. We always hear about pitchers wanting to add a pitch. They add a pitch in the offseason, they come in and they start to really work on it during spring to see whether or not it can be a thing. So what does that process look like? When does it start? Who do the players have to talk to? Just the whole process of being able to add a pitch.
We talked about what went well, what didn't, and then what needs to take place in order for us to take the next step in each one of their careers. And off of that meeting, then there's more follow-ups and more detailed, like diving in deeper type meetings where those type of conversations come up. Then they're communicated to the player, and then a plan is put together as to how we want to introduce something new. Obviously, partnering with the player is a big part of that process because you need their buy-in and ownership in that. But that's usually the order. At times, a player sees something or someone recommends something outside of the org that they feel like, hey, what do you guys think about this? And if it's something we think has legs, then we can partner with the player and go down that road. If we think it's just a distraction, then we can communicate that clearly as to the why and keep moving.
JJ Weatherholt, barring something crazy happening, is going to be the everyday second baseman for the Cardinals this year. In the game today, he scored a run. He draws 2 walks, made an error defensively. He's had a couple mistakes in the field, so 2 throwing errors from him in the early going. Had a base running mistake. Maybe it had an aggressive base running decision that resulted in an out. We'll call it that. Had another aggressive base running decision that resulted in him getting another bag. So when it comes to if you want to call them mistakes or over aggressive plays, things like that, Ali makes the argument that those things happening, especially in spring training, absolutely can be a good thing.
I think it's good to be able to see, especially when someone has had the amount of success that he's had. It's good to see some young guys face a little bit of adversity and just see how they respond to it out the gate.
One of the position battles we are really watching is the catching position battle. Ivan Herrera, we'll see how much he's actually catching, but you look at Pedro Pajes, you look at Joel Pozo, and you look at Jimmy Crooks as guys who are going to be competing for roster spots and also competing for playing time. We saw Jimmy Crooks in the lineup for the first time today. Had a tough day at the plate. He went 0 for 2 with a couple strikeouts, and Ali talked about what a good spring would look like from Jimmy Crooks.
A combination of things. Some of them are communication related. Some of them are swing related. I think when you look at the catching side of things, there's a lot of progress being made there. There's a better understanding of his time in the big leagues, what he struggled with, what he did well offensively, and some of the mechanical and approach adjustments that need to take place there. And then from a communication standpoint with Dusty staff, that's an ongoing thing with any young player, is them getting to the point where they're comfortable enough truly expressing themselves and not just saying, okay.
That is Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol, as we got to speak with him a couple times today, both before and after the game. Let's go ahead and take a break, and we will return in just a moment as we are in Jupiter, Florida. It's Cardinals spring training, and this is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
The Missouri Valley Conference Men's Basketball Tournament has been the showcase for buzzer beaters, madness, and championship glory. With nearly 5 decades of heart-racing excitement, it begins here at Enterprise Center. The 2026 State Farm MVC Tournament, presented by Credit Union 1, Great Southern Bank, and SSM Health, tips off on March 5th through 8th. Celebrate 50 years of the Valley's postseason championship. Get your tickets now at archmadness.com.
At Gray Bar, we know your time is money. That's why our services go beyond parts and products. With kitting, pre-assembly, wire carts, and Gray Bar smart reels that keep you moving. We stage materials and manage logistics so you can spend less time sorting and more time installing. And with locations nationwide, we deliver when and where you need it, working to make your job easier every step of the way. Yep, Gray Bar does that.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Is your furnace on its last legs? Don't wait for a cold night to find out. Jerry Kelly and KMOX are giving you the chance to win a brand new furnace this winter season. Just go online to KMOX.com/contest through March 1st and nominate someone who you think deserves a brand new furnace. Sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning. Win a brand new furnace. For more information and contest rules, just head to KMOX.com/contest.
Wesley is a truck driver.
I drive a truck and I love what I do.
A truck driver with IRS troubles.
They told me I owed them $43,000.
It got really bad.
Quite a few letters in the mail. They were talking about wage garnishment coming after my house, my car. Yeah, they don't play around. I seriously thought that I was going to lose everything.
One sleepless night, Wesley finally made a call to Optima Tax Relief at 2 a.m.
Kind of figured I'd get a machine, but I didn't. I actually got to talk to an actual person in the middle of the night.
He found just what he was looking for.
Oh, they were great people. You need a team of people that know what they're doing. Optima Tax, they know what they're doing.
Optima Tax Relief came through with flying colors.
I saved an incredible amount of money. Happy don't even come close. I was absolutely overjoyed.
Take Wesley's advice.
If you're in any kind of trouble with the IRS, call Optima Tax Relief. Don't trust anybody else.
Call Optima for a free consultation. Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Hey guys, Kevin Wheeler here. I want to tell you about 213 Complex. And you can pick that up at supplement superstores. And quite simply, 213 Complex is the most effective and powerful all-natural weight loss supplement ever developed. Here's what it's doing for me and what it'll do for you. Boost the metabolism. Gets it working at full go all the time. Helps with cravings. And man, that's a big deal for me. All-day focus energy with no jitters, no crash at the end of the day. It's a great tool for achieving your goals. Get out to supplement superstores. Tell them Kevin Wheeler sent you in. They will knock 30% off your 213 Complex. And you can find your location at supplementsuperstores.com.
Menards 11% rebate is here. From lighting to lumber, from doors to floors. The bigger the project, the bigger the rebate. From painting projects to that new kitchen makeover and designing that outdoor space of your dreams. Save big on any project you're tackling. Hurry into Menards for an 11% rebate on everything. Mail-in rebate is a merchandise credit check, not a point-of-sale discount. Redeemable on future in-store purchases only. Not on future purchases on Menards.com. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
It's Tom Ackerman for Ophthalmology Associates, the doctor's doctors, 314-966-5000 or online at youridoc.com.
How many of you think taxes will go up in the future? And if they do, who will get hit the hardest? Maybe it's you, headed for retirement. You've been saving in that 401k or IRA, and that money has never been taxed. And Uncle Sam is looking at that account like it's a big, juicy steak. What can you do about it? Join the All Financial Group for their Taxes in Retirement Seminar, Thursday, February 19th or Tuesday, February 24th. They believe a financial plan is not a retirement plan without a tax plan. Fund your retirement, not Uncle Sam's. Reserve your spot today by calling 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory products and services made available through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That fun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Welcome back to the Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Once again, Matt Pauley on KMOX.
All right, back at it one final time. It is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. When I get done, we are going to get to our Gas House Gang replay. That's going to come up after the 8 o'clock news. Again, a reminder for you, coming up tomorrow evening, we will not have Sports Open Line. We'll have some Redbird Rush Hour for about 45 minutes, and then we are going to split the signals tomorrow between 104.1 FM and 11:20 AM, as you'll be able to hear Billikens basketball on one and Cardinals baseball on the other. So fun when we're able to do that. Just a really, really busy time, and great to be the home of both Billikens basketball and Cardinals baseball, and we're going to bring it to you both on a single night here on KMOX AM and at KMOX FM. Wanted to spend just a few minutes on this before we get out of here, and we touched on it for a few minutes tonight on Redbird Rush Hour. So J.J. Weatherholt has made a couple mistakes in the field. He has committed 2 errors. He committed an error today, got to a ball that was really, really tough to get to, and he didn't field it completely cleanly, and then he tried to hurry up and throw over to first, and with that, it was not a particularly good throw, and that led to a throwing error. Had he just put the ball in his back pocket, it probably would have gone as a base hit. because it was going to be a tough play to make over at first base. But once he threw it and Alec Burleson couldn't handle it over at first base, it certainly became an error. There was a play where he tried to take third, and it thought there was going to be a play at the plate and was being aggressive on the bases and got thrown out. At the same time, there was another moment in the game where he was able to take it back from being aggressive. One of the things the media actually asked Oliver Marmol was like, when does mistakes from J.J. Weatherholt kind of become a thing? Like, that's a paraphrase. When does it become a thing? Or when do you become concerned about it? When do you become worried about it? And Ollie kind of dismissed it and said it's not there. And it's just a good reminder of, and I'm not trying to give anybody a free pass, and it's going to kind of sound like I'm giving somebody a free pass. That's not my intention here, even if kind of functionally it comes out that way. But it's a reminder that this season is different than other seasons. And we heard from Ollie in our last segment. I thought it was really, really interesting when he talked about pitchers and maybe going into that Steven Matz hybrid role and whether or not that's a young pitcher. Is that going to stall their development? And the give and take of a guy who could help the big league team, but if you send him down to the minors, the development will happen in a way that they can be a more impactful individual later on in their career. Like, I think all of that's super, super interesting and very applicable to what's going on with this team right now. With the Weatherholt situation, it's a little bit different because he's going to be on this team. He's going to be the everyday second baseman. So if mistakes do start to pile up, and I don't think they're going to, like, I think I'm talking about something that's going to be a moot point before we know it. But let's go down this path because this may be the only opportunity to go down this path because things are likely to get better. If Weatherholt does struggle in a certain area of his game, whether it's offensively, defensively, whatever, base running, like at what point does it become really a problem that needs to be dealt with? And when I say dealt with, that's like the extreme thing. Trying to coach them up to fix those things, you do that. That's not what I'm trying to get to when I say being dealt with. And Ali made the point today, and he's 100% right. And we touched on this during Redbird Rush Hour. There is value, especially for young players. There is value to mistakes being made in spring training because you can address those mistakes and you can give instruction on those mistakes. Not that you can't do those things during the regular season, but games matter in the regular season. Managers have a career record next to their name from regular season games. There is consequence to what happens in the regular season. Consequence is much less when it comes to the to spring training games. I guess I say all that to eventually meander my way to the point that I'm trying to get to. It would have to be just terrible. And people keep asking me, like, what would it take for J.J. Weatherholt not to make the opening day club? And my answer keeps being, it would just have to look terrible in spring. Terrible. Like, so obvious that this guy's not ready for the big leagues. And we haven't seen that. Still very early on. We'll watch what happens moving forward. So my answer is kind of the same. At what point would you become concerned if he's making a lot of mistakes in the field? At what point would you be concerned if he's making a lot of base running mistakes? And my answer is, well, when it becomes really, really terrible. If it's just kind of there, you run him out there every day and you do what you do to try to fix those things via instruction. And you hope that he becomes a better player as he's going to be developing at the major league level. And that's where he's at. And not all players are created equal. There are some players who, because of the skill set and where they're at and maturity and things like that, the idea of continuing to develop them at the major league level is an easier thing to do. And that's the case with Weatherholt. You look how advanced he is from a hitting standpoint, everything else, but there are going to be some nuances to the game that maybe he does not have because he did not spend much time in the minor leagues. And that's okay for a year like this, even a year not like this. When you've got the opportunity, you don't draft somebody with a very high draft pick and a guy who has been in college, coming out, he's a college guy. you don't bring those players in with the idea that they're going to be spending a ton of time across the minor leagues. And that means there's going to be some growing pains at times. That's okay. I don't think it's anything to be overly worried about right now. He's committed 2 errors over the first 3 games of Grapefruit League play. If you watched today's game, you saw the Miami Marlins just play a fundamentally terrible baseball game. And there are lots of teams early on in spring that are just absolutely terrible from a fundamental standpoint. So not something to be worried about, but I think an interesting conversation to be had when there are a couple errors here in the first 3 games. Not something that I am worried about right now. That is it for this edition of the program. Thank you so much for being tuned in. Have a wonderful evening. Our Gas House Gang replay, that is going to be coming up next. And then I'll be back with you tomorrow for Redbird Rush Hour. And no Sports Open Line tomorrow. We'll have full Sports Open Lines this week on Wednesday night and Friday night, and countdown to opening day is going to be on Thursday night. So a busy week this week between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Gas House Gang replay on the way next here on your home of the Cardinals, KMOX.
When it comes to planning your retirement, there's a lot to think about. Portfolio management, tax planning, and retirement income just to get started. Steve All and his